I'll paraphrase this quote from John Steinbeck, which is, a lot of times a problem that you can't solve at night can be solved in the morning after the committee of sleep has worked on it. We spend so much time wearing ourselves down mentally, physically, and emotionally. And the best way to recover is sleep.
Lisa Tan, who's the Chief Marketing Officer for Reverie.
I joined Reverie in 2012. Prior to that, in my early career, I was in publishing and editorial and then PR. And then I spent my formative professional years as a management and strategy consultant. So that was an amazing way to learn how to be a professional, to learn how to do quick analysis and, to really understand the big picture. In 2012, I knew that I wanted to do something more client side. And so that's when I moved to Reverie. I originally signed up for a 3-month project, but I'm still here today, so I guess it's going pretty well. You should not try to be a people pleaser. It's very easy early on in your career to want to say yes, to want to please your superiors and to want to show up as perfect. But the reality is acknowledging when you don't understand something or you don't know something or you've truly messed up is going to benefit you much faster and for the long term versus trying to cover up or trying to pretend that you're perfect. Nobody is perfect, and we all learn and grow by making mistakes and acknowledging them. I have a keen sense of observation. I tend to be on the more quiet, introverted side, but I am very aware of surroundings. So I observe the nuance, I observe body language, I observe the little details that are sometimes missed when you're scanning a room. And I use those details to connect. So there are so many things going on in a workplace and in a team. And I think my superpower is the ability to see the whole picture, to see the details, and to be able to connect them all into the macro. Our challenge is always helping customers to come in and be willing to have that conversation that ties the product to their sleep habits and their sleep performance. And so many people do not associate the quality of their lives with the quality of their sleep, and the quality of their sleep with their habits, their environment, and the tools that they use for sleep. And so, it's a very complex USP to try to bring in the right people to have that conversation. So our challenge is always how do we draw in people to understand that we're not here to sell a bed, we're here to sell sleep. Carving out that one-on-one time. So, and using it not for updates on projects, but really to say, how are you doing? What is on your horizon for your career, for what you want, for where you see opportunities to grow. And that's been really good because I think it's allowed us some form of continuity and also just relationship building. That in an environment where you're always together, you sometimes take for granted that you spend all this time with people, so you automatically know them and understand them. But taking the time to actually carve out, let's spend some time developing our relationship and let's talk about you has been really beneficial. One campaign that we ran several years ago, and it just happened to be the same time when I had a baby and a toddler, was a new moms campaign. We had done some market research to show that an adjustable base was something that new moms were very interested in. Being pregnant or having a C-section, or a natural birth, and trying to get out of bed is difficult on a flat surface. With an adjustable base, it helps with, getting out of bed, recovery, nursing, and just, cuddle time. So we devised this whole campaign around new moms. And, we did several considerations and testing, but there were a lot of hiccups along the way because new moms aren't necessarily thinking about spending for themselves. They're thinking about buying the bassinet and the stroller and all the other things that they're going to use for a brief period of time and throughout, but it doesn't. Trying to convince a new mom that she shouldn't spend money on things that she's only going to use for 6 months doesn't really work. Navigating what messaging was going to work the best. I would say that was one of the most difficult campaigns for us to run from a messaging standpoint, because there were a lot of factors that weren't necessarily aligning with the intent that a customer would express versus their actual behaviors. So to me, the biggest learning was just, there are some things that you have to test in a live environment. And I think we've certainly moved our general testing methodology more towards the live environment test in small increments versus building the campaign based on some focus group data and then running with it, because that difference between intent or expression versus behavior is so significant sometimes. An exercise that we went through as an organization a couple of years ago to develop, we did the mission, vision, values refresh, but there was still something missing in that framework. And what we've defined it as is the pathways. And so, our mission is to help people live better lives through the power of sleep. Our vision is to help 20 million people sleep better with Reverie by 2027. And, our core values, are what we look for when we hire and develop people, and their humble confidence, a passion for innovation, going above and beyond, and being default positive. But there's a big separation between that foundation of mission and values and the vision. And it wasn't playing out in everyday life at work. So we came up with the pathways, which are really intended to live, allow you to live. And they are understanding the needs and expectations of the customer, understanding the needs and expectations of the organization, and being agile, responsive, and efficient in meeting those needs and expectations. And those pathways are very easy to understand. They're easy to provide feedback with. And they've kind of spurred the initiative that I've been focused on the past 2 years, which is around the customer experience. So when we think about the importance of marketing as, really in many ways owning the initial onset of the customer experience to, actually selling, servicing, and continuing a relationship with the customer, these pathways have helped us create more internal alignment around the customer than we've ever had before. And so I'm really proud of that work. It's definitely ongoing. We still have a long way to go before we master the customer experience. But I'm very proud of the work that we've done and in coming up with those pathways and in driving all of our activities towards meeting them.